Heartwarming discovery, veteran finds K9 tied in snow revealed an incredible, life-changing bond. John Walker trudged through the swirling snow, each step a reminder of the weight he carried. The town, eerily quiet, felt foreign after the cacophony of warfare. His breath came out in misty puffs that hung in the air, and he glanced at the familiar storefronts now draped in white. The holiday lights twinkled, but they could not chase away the shadows that loomed over him, echoes of bombs and nights spent fighting for lives, memories that clung to him like the frost on the ground. It was a bitter day, the wind howling like the ghosts of his comrades. He felt lost, an outsider returning to a world that spun without him. Though he wore the badge of honor, he could hardly find honor in himself. The silence was deafening, swallowing his thoughts when they threatened to escape. As the snow continued to fall, he walked aimlessly, his boots crunching softly beneath him. Suddenly, something caught his eye, a shiver, a whimper that broke through the storm. He turned to find a small dog, frail and shivering, tied up in the biting cold. Its big brown eyes searched his face, filled with fear and despair. John's heart stuttered, a mix of anger and compassion swelling within him. Who could abandon a creature so innocent? He hesitated, guilt flooding over him. Could he even save himself, let alone this poor animal? But the moment he locked eyes with the pup, something inside him sparked the flicker of warmth that he thought had died. With a resolve he didn't know he had, he kneeled beside the K9 and carefully untied the fraying rope. The dog nuzzled into his hand, trembling but yearning for comfort. "It's okay," John whispered, not just to the dog but to himself. "You're safe now." He wrapped the shivering creature in his coat, cradling it against his chest as they stumbled back to his small apartment, the storm roaring around them. Days turned into weeks. John named the dog Buddy, and together they began to find their rhythm. As they trained, the scars within him slowly started to heal. The dog became his purpose. Hours spent in the park chasing sticks brought laughter back into John's soul, a sound he thought he would never hear again. Buddy, with his boundless energy and unwavering loyalty, pulled John from the brink. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Whispers lingered in town, the judgmental gazes from an unforgiving community igniting a fire of resentment within him. Some saw him as a hero, others as nothing more than the chaos he created in his past, and the divide weighed heavily on his heart. Yet, he found refuge in Buddy's companionship. Just as they began to bond further, tragedy struck. An accident at the annual winter festival left Buddy injured. As John rushed him to the vet, panic clawed at his chest. Would he be able to afford the care Buddy needed? Would he have to abandon the 1 ounce of hope he had rediscovered? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. John stood at the crossroads of despair and determination, his heart racing as he fought for Buddy's recovery. In that moment of vulnerability, he would discover not only his own strength but also the hidden depths of his town, the shared stories of sacrifice that connected them all. Just when he thought the battle was his alone, the community around him would begin to reveal surprising truths that could unite them. What would become of John and Buddy? Would they find healing together, or would the specters of judgment and prejudice keep them apart? The vet's office smelled like antiseptic and anxious hope. John paced the waiting room, the cold chill of fear twisting in his gut. His fingers drummed against the plastic chair, an impatient tattoo that mirrored the frantic beat of his heart. Buddy had been whisked away for examination, and every second felt like an eternity. He couldn't shake the image of the little dog lying still, pain etched into his furry face. Minutes dragged on, each one heavier than the last. He could hear muffled voices beyond the door, the sound of medical jargon that felt both foreign and ominous. John leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. How could something so innocent demand so much love and fear? "You're tougher than this," he whispered to himself, trying to summon the strength he had found in Buddy. Finally, the door opened and a vet, clad in scrubs with a stethoscope around her neck, stepped out. Her eyes were warm but serious. "Mr. Walker?" John stood, his heart pounding. "Yes, how is he? Is he going to be okay?" The vet took a breath, gauging his intensity. "Buddy has a fracture in his leg and some bruising, but it's manageable. We'll need to keep him overnight for observation, and he will require a cast." Relief washed over him, but it was quickly muddied by concern. "How much will this cost?" The question slipped out before he could filter it, born from a place of deep anxiety. He could almost feel the weight of everyone in town who had doubted him, pinning him down with their expectations. The vet's expression softened. "I understand that this can be a tough time financially. We offer payment plans for emergencies like this, and there are options for charities in the area that help with costs." Each word felt like a gentle pull at the tangled strings of John's heart. Gratitude sparked within him, but still, a shadow of doubt loomed. Would the community really come together for him? Especially when some had branded him as just a soldier with a troubled past? Even hope felt like a gamble. Hours later, as he finally cradled Buddy in his arms, John could see the pain in his eyes but also the flicker of trust. They were a pair of fighters, battered but not beaten. John realized then how much of his healing journey was wrapped around this little creature, a bond that had roots deeper than he could imagine. He took a breath, steadying himself. Would he be brave enough to ask for help when he needed it? Could he mend not just Buddy's leg but the broken connections to his community? Each question lingered as he stroked Buddy's head, their connection stronger with every touch. As night fell, John sat in the quiet of his apartment with Buddy resting beside him. He stared out the window at the snowflakes sprinkled against the dark, each one unique, much like the townspeople who had been so quick to judge him. Beneath that frost lay stories, struggles, and perhaps the chance for something more, a chance to heal together. Suddenly, a soft knock at the door pulled him from his reverie. He set Buddy down carefully and opened the door to reveal a group of familiar faces, neighbors he had seen around town, hesitant smiles on their faces, holding casseroles and warm blankets. Their collective presence filled the air with a fragile yet welcoming warmth, an olive branch for the wounds he thought would always keep him apart. "Hey, we heard about Buddy," one of them spoke, a neighbor from 2 doors down. "We want to help." In a moment when help felt like a distant star, it shone brighter than he ever anticipated. Could this be the turning point, the first step toward unity in his fractured community? John's heart raced again, but this time with budding hope. As the door swung wider, he realized that maybe, just maybe, he and Buddy wouldn't have to fight their battles alone after all. But what was this sudden change? Would the warmth of community be enough to truly mend the hearts involved? And as John invited them in, he felt another question creeping in: would they be able to overcome their past judgments to embrace a shared future? The neighbors stepped inside, their arms laden with food and kindness. The sight felt surreal to John, as if he were witnessing a scene from a movie rather than his life. He motioned for them to take a seat, his mind buzzing with uncertainty. Would they bring up the past? Would they still see him as that troubled soldier? "Buddy's resting right now," John said, trying to keep his voice steady. "He has a cast, but he'll be okay." He could already sense their shifting opinions, the cautious smiles softening into genuine concern. The kind neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, settled into the chair by the window. "It's great to hear he's all right. I know how much he means to you." Her voice was warm, filled with the kind of empathy that could dissolve the frost surrounding his heart. John felt a sudden urge to share. "He's more than just a dog. He saved me, helped me find my way after." He hesitated, recalling the shadows of his past. "After everything." There was a moment of silence. Then, another neighbor chimed in, gently. "We all have our battles, John. You're not alone in this." Something in his tone suggested understanding that came from shared struggles. John swallowed hard, feeling a lump in his throat. The warmth of their sentiments washed over him like a gentle tide. It was all so unexpected. "I've been trying to figure out how to ask for help," he admitted, memories of isolation pressing down on him. "I didn't know if anyone would care." A nod from Mr. Thompson, a retired firefighter, encouraged him. "We care, John. Buddy brought us together tonight. It's time we start looking out for one another." A mixture of disbelief and gratitude flared in John's chest. These were the very people who had held him at arm's length. Yet here they were, extending olive branches, bridging gaps he thought would remain unbridgeable. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted Buddy, trying to stand on 3 legs, his tail wagging feebly but fiercely. Laughter erupted in the room, breaking the emotional tension. "I think he's ready for some attention," John said, a smile breaking through the heaviness. As he leaned down to pick Buddy up, the dog's soft brown eyes met his. In that moment, John felt the weight of their shared journey, a soldier and his dog, 2 warriors united in their fight against loneliness and doubt. As the evening wore on, stories began to flow. Neighbors recounted their own trials, shared moments of vulnerability, and, by the end of the night, the atmosphere buzzed with camaraderie. The casseroles were demolished, laughter lingered in the air, and for the first time in a long while, John felt a flicker of joy. But just as the smiles began to overwhelm the negativity of the past, a knock disrupted the warm tone of the evening. John's heart sank as he approached the door, unsure of who might be standing on the other side. When he opened it, his breath caught in his throat. The figure there was unexpected, but the storm of emotions that came with it made his heart race, sending him into a turmoil he could scarcely imagine. "John," the voice was familiar, yet it held a tension that stilled the air between them. "We need to talk." John stared, caught in a moment that could change everything. The door swung open wider, revealing a person John hadn't expected to see again. Sarah, his childhood friend, stood there, a mixture of frustration and concern etched on her face. Her eyes flicked over John's shoulder at the gathering crowd. He half expected her to scold him for not reaching out sooner. Instead, she took a breath, as if steeling herself for what came next. "Can we talk outside?" she asked, her voice low but firm. John hesitated. The warmth of the living room, buzzing with laughter and the smell of comfort food, felt light years away from the tension that crackled in the air between them. He glanced back at the neighbors, who were swapping stories about their kids and holidays. He longed for that moment of camaraderie, but this was his past come knocking, demanding to be dealt with. "Yeah, okay," he said, stepping outside, leaving Buddy with Mrs. Henderson, who cooed over him like a grandmother. The chill of the evening air hit him like a wave, sharpening his senses. Once they were outside, he turned to face her. "What's going on, Sarah?" "I just heard about Buddy," she said, worry flickering across her features. "I came to check on you. I didn't know how bad things had been." Her words hung heavy between them, full of the undertones of their shared history. She had always been the one who understood him, who never judged him for the things he'd faced. But they hadn't spoken in years, and now here she was, the past rushing back like a tide. "I'm okay," he replied, though doubt lingered in his mind. "Buddy's my lifeline. He's helping me." Her gaze softened. "I can see that. But we need to talk about what happened, after you came back." The weight of her words washed over him, the things he had buried deep inside creeping back into the open. He clenched his fists. "I don't want to go there right now," he said, a touch more forcefully than he intended. "You can't keep pretending everything is fine," she pressed, a hint of urgency filling her tone. "You shut everyone out, John, even me. I thought we had a connection, but you cut me off like I didn't matter." His heart raced. The anger and shame swirled together, filling his chest like an insatiable storm. But there was something else too, a sense of regret, longing for the days when they were inseparable. "I didn't know how to let anyone in. It felt safer that way," he admitted, his voice cracking slightly. I understand, but isolating yourself isn't the answer. She stepped closer, sincerity in her eyes. We all have scars, John. You shouldn't have to carry this alone. Behind him, the laughter of neighbors faded into a soft murmur. The warmth of acceptance and vulnerability inside felt worlds apart from the tension outside. John's body responded in a way he hadn't felt in years. A flicker of hope mingled with fear gripped him. This was a chance that he looked into Sarah's eyes, seeing not just judgment but a willingness to help. You think I can just heal? Just like that? Just because I have Buddy? No, but it's a start, she replied softly. You have to choose to let people back into your life, John. It won't be easy, but it's possible. He wanted to argue, to retreat back into that lonely shell. But deep down, a part of him yearned for connection, for understanding. Before he could respond, a shout split the air. John! It was Mr. Thompson, waving him over. You've got to see this. John turned back to Sarah, the smile on his face fighting against the heavier emotions swirling within. What now? He asked. Go, she urged, glancing back at the commotion. Just remember what we talked about. You're not alone. As John walked toward the excitement, the questions loomed larger than ever in his mind. Could he truly open his heart? And was it possible to heal the rift that had festered for so long? The crowd fell silent as he reached them, gathered around what looked like another surprise. Holding his breath, he wondered if he was ready for whatever came next. As John stepped into the small circle of neighbors, he felt a sense of anticipation mixed with unease. The night had shifted, the air crackled with excitement, but the shadows of the conversation with Sarah still loomed over him like dark clouds threatening rain. Check this out. Mr. Thompson shouted, his voice booming with enthusiasm. John pushed past a few curious faces, their eyes sparkling with intrigue. What could possibly have drawn everyone's attention? In the center of the huddle, he spotted a large cardboard box, slightly battered and damp with melting snow. Someone peered in and gasped, while another whispered in awe. John's curiosity took hold, and he leaned in, trying to peek over their shoulders. Open it! Someone called out, excitement bubbling in the crowd. John's heart pounded as the box lifted open slowly. Inside was a K9, a golden retriever, shivering and tucked tightly against the cardboard's edge. The dog looked lost, yet hopeful, and the gentle glisten of its chocolate-brown eyes sent a jolt through John's chest. It's tied up in here. Mrs. Henderson exclaimed, her voice rising with both alarm and compassion. What in the world? John breathed, kneeling down for a closer look. His instincts kicked in, and he felt an overwhelming sense of connection to the creature's plight. There was something familiar about the helplessness of the dog. He recognized that feeling all too well. As Mr. Thompson reached in to untie the poor pup, a wave of warmth washed over John. For the first time that evening, he felt the stirrings of compassion pushing back against the shadows that had encased his heart. The dog's tail thumped tentatively against the cardboard, a sign of hope creeping into its wary expression. When the last knot fell away, the dog leapt into Mr. Thompson's arms, licking his face with unrestrained joy. A chorus of awe rippled through the crowd, which only seemed to amplify the connection John felt. Instinctively, he reached out a hand, feeling the warmth radiating off the golden fur as the dog shuffled toward him, drawn by an unspoken bond. John's breath caught in his throat. This creature didn't ask for much, it simply desired warmth, care, and a home. That single act of trust sparked something deep within him, echoing the honesty Sarah had shown. He glanced back at her, who watched the scene unfold with a gentle smile, a knowing glint in her eyes, as if she were witnessing a pivotal moment. It's like this dog knows you need each other, Sarah murmured, stepping closer. Her words resonated, deeper than any conversation they'd had before. The dog wagged its tail, leaning into John's hand as he kneaded its back. A rush of emotion surged through him. It was as if the pup could sense his loneliness, standing patiently to bridge the gap John had so carefully crafted over the years. "Maybe you're right," John whispered, though he still held doubts tight in his chest. Could he, like this dog, come out of the shadows? This little creature was just as lost, waiting for a chance to find home again, and as people began gathering names and ideas for what to do with their new friend, John felt a sense of urgency rising. Was this a chance to step back into the warmth of community? The laughter and chatter of his neighbors, the quick flashes of kindness, all seemed to swirl around him, pulling him closer to the light he had hidden from for so long. "Will you join me in taking him in?" Sarah asked quietly, her voice cutting through the noise as if they were alone. John turned to meet her gaze, an unexpected resolve igniting within him. The future lay ahead, uncertain but ripe with possibility. Could he dare to take that step? Just then, a collective gasp swept the crowd. A neighbor discovered a collar beneath the fur, engraved with a name that sent shockwaves through the group: Buddy. Everything shifted in that instant, leaving John breathless. What did that mean for both him and this dog? As excitement charged the air, he realized he stood at a precipice, the decision looming before him. With a racing heart, he felt the echoes of his past, present, and a potential future collide. Could he chase down this new bond, or would he let it slip away into the night? John's mind spun as the crowd buzzed with excitement, the name Buddy dissolving into a rapturous chatter that seemed to wrap around him like a thick fog. He could feel their eyes flicking between him and the dog, their whispers tantalizing hints of community. Would he take the leap? He knelt closer to the pup, who now sat breathless in Mr. Thompson's lap, looking about with a mix of wonder and cautious joy. "Buddy, huh?" John said softly, feeling the warmth radiating from the dog's golden fur. "What a perfect name for you. Just like my life, huh? Full of missing pieces." The laughter around him faded to a distant hum. John's heart beat in sync with the rhythmic thumping of Buddy's tail against Mr. Thompson's leg. In that beat, John glimpsed the possibility of acceptance. Maybe Buddy was more than just a stray. Maybe this was a mutual rescue. "Let us find Buddy a home." Someone cheered, echoing the sentiment that was beginning to swell in John's chest. He remained kneeling, his fingers brushing through Buddy's soft fur, as if he were applying a gentle balm to his own healed scars. "His home, could that be with me?" "Absolutely," Sarah said excitedly, her eyes sparkling. "You can't let him slip away, John. He's looking for a connection just like you are." But just as hope started to thread its way through John's fragile resolve, doubt spiraled in. What did he truly have to offer? He imagined empty spaces in his little house, a quiet echo where laughter should be, and fear seeped back in. The shadows still lurking beneath the twinkling lights of community. Isn't there someone else who could take him? First John stammered, but he felt Sarah's gaze hold him firm. "You're not alone, John. Look around you," she said, inclining her head toward the gathering crowd. "They're here for you, for Buddy. You'll have support." The crowd swelled with murmurs of agreement, their voices a chorus of encouragement. "We'll help. We'll pitch in for everything you need," shouted Mr. Thompson, his own grandkids by his side, their eyes wide with hope. As if sensing John's internal battle, Buddy turned, placing a paw gently on John's lap, his eyes wide and trusting. John's breath hitched. Here was this creature, who despite being abandoned, emanated pure hope. If Buddy could trust, then maybe he could too. Slowly, John reached out, allowing Buddy to lean into his touch, the warmth melting away his doubts, if only for a moment. "All right, Buddy, let us go home," he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. The crowd erupted into cheers, and for the first time that night, John's heart began to lift, weaving warmth around his soul. Maybe this was the beginning, a chance to rewrite his story, to transform those shadows into light. As John stood, Buddy confidently trotted by his side, tail wagging, and together they took a step toward the small gathering of neighbors. Laughter filled the air, drowning out the remnants of loneliness that still fought for a place in his heart. But just as they pushed through the crowd toward the exit, a chilling bark echoed from the darkness beyond the streetlight. Irregular and urgent, it made every hair on John's neck prickle. What was that? He wondered aloud, the sense of unease creeping back like an unwanted guest. And as the deep barks echoed louder, a connection sparked in John's mind. What if there were more out there like Buddy? More stories waiting to reach him? John hesitated for just a moment, a flurry of emotions creating a storm in his chest. The echoes of barking drifted like cold wind around him, cutting through the warmth of the celebration. Buddy's ears perked up, his posture shifting from playful to alert, as if he too sensed the urgency looming just beyond the light. "What do you think, Buddy?" John murmured, momentarily distracted by the dog's instinctual response. The way the pup leaned closer to him offered reassurance, as if saying they could face whatever was coming together. "Should we check it out?" With the crowd still buzzing around them, John took a step forward, instinctively tightening his grip on Buddy's collar. He could feel his heart thundering in his chest, an unexpected surge of bravery pushing him on. When Sarah noticed, she immediately followed, eager to support him. "I'm with you, John. Let us see what's up." They moved cautiously toward the shadows, the vibrant energy of the gathering fading like the sun dipping below the horizon. A cluster of bushes rustled and another low growl resonated through the air, sending chills dancing up John's spine. "What kind of dog do you think it is?" John asked, more to fill the silence than anything else. "Could be anything. But it doesn't sound friendly," Sarah replied steadily, her voice calm yet filled with concern. As they approached the noise, a figure began to emerge, a scruffy, medium-sized dog with a matted coat. The animal stood frozen in place, teeth bared, eyes wide and full of fear. Its barks turned from aggressive to desperate cries as it tangled itself further in an old rope, a rickety collar digging painfully into its neck. "Poor thing," John breathed, kneeling slightly and reaching out his hand slowly. "It's okay. We're not here to hurt you." The dog's body shook, its growls turning to whimpers. "Can you help it, John?" Sarah asked softly. "I think so," he replied, keeping his voice gentle. The memories of Buddy and his own vulnerability echoed in his mind. "Just like we helped Buddy, we can help this one too." John carefully approached, not moving too quickly. "Buddy, let us show it we mean no harm." The golden pup stepped forward, as if guiding the new dog to see they were friends, not foes. He let out a soft whine and wagged his tail in encouragement. Slowly, the scruffy dog's growls subsided, its body relaxing just a touch. John reached for the rope tangled around its neck, his fingers trembling as he began to untie the knots. "You got this, John," he whispered, feeling an incredible connection forming between the dogs. It was a delicate piece, one they too often took for granted. They were all lost at some point, searching for something that felt like home. As he loosened the rope, he stole glances at the scruffy dog. It looked up, eyes filled with wariness but also a spark of trust. Suddenly, that spark ignited within John, lighting up his heart with a fierce determination. He wasn't just rescuing a dog, he was part of something bigger, a community reaching out to one another. "Almost there," he reassured, his heart racing as he finally freed the last knot. The scruffy dog stood tall, eyes softening. Before John could fully stand back, the new dog took a hesitant step forward, then another, and suddenly it bounded toward Buddy, their tails swishing in unison. Laughter erupted from the crowd, filling the air with warmth. But as John knelt there, reveling in this moment of connection, a thought pulsed in his mind. What if there were even more lost souls, waiting for their rescue? He glanced back into the shadows, the dusk concealing mysteries still unsolved. "John, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Sarah asked. With a newfound sense of purpose, John nodded, determination etched in every fiber of his being. "Yeah, it's time to find them." A chorus of barks erupted from the darkness, echoing his thoughts. Would he have the courage to take that journey? As the barks echoed softly, mingling with the fading music of the celebration, John felt an electric thrill shoot through him. This moment was just the beginning. Sarah had taken a step closer, her eyes wide with excitement and concern. "What do we do first?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile peace they'd just forged. "Let us follow the sounds," John replied, his resolve hardening. Every instinct within him urged him forward. He took a deep breath and glanced at Buddy, who was playfully rolling around with the scruffy dog, their newfound friendship evident in every wagging tail. "Okay, boys," he said, feeling the swell of affection for the two dogs. "Let us see what else is out there." They moved deeper into the shadows, the air thick with anticipation. Every rustle and bark felt like a call to action, pulling them closer to the hidden stories waiting to be uncovered. John felt each beat of his heart sink with the pulsing energy around him. "Over here." Sarah pointed towards a thicker cluster of trees where the barking grew louder. As they neared, John caught glimpses of movement beneath the branches, shadows darting back and forth, filled with a restless energy. Just then, a loud yelp pierced through the air. It was sudden and sharp, unsettling the quiet feigned by the darkness. John's heart skipped a beat. "What was that?" Sarah gasped, her eyes wide with worry. "Stay close," he whispered, moving stealthily forward. As they approached the source, he tried to remain calm. The two dogs raced ahead, consumed by the excitement of potential new friends. Pushing aside the low-hanging branches, they stumbled into a small clearing. There, under the flickering light of a nearby lantern, stood another dog, this one small and shivering. It was a pitiful sight, its frame thin and dirty, eyes glazed with a mix of fear and exhaustion. A faint whimper escaped its lips, echoing John's deepest fears. "Hey there, Buddy," he cooed, crouching low as he did with the scruffy dog. "You're safe now." But the little one only flinched further, pressing its body against the rough bark of a tree, trembling under John's gentle gaze. The sight made John's heart ache. How long had it been alone? How many nights had it spent in fear? Sarah knelt beside him. "We'll help, John. They need us, and you've forgiven those who didn't understand you." Something inside John sparked at her words. He understood this dog's pain, a feeling that pulled threads from his own past, memories laced with fear and helplessness. Instinctively, Buddy and the scruffy dog stepped closer, their tails wagging in a friendly rhythm. It was as if they were assuring the newcomer that love was stronger than fear. John stretched out his hand slowly, palm up, much like he had done before. "You can trust us," he said softly. For a moment, nothing happened. But then, the small dog inched forward cautiously, curiosity battling its instinct to flee. John could see the wariness in its eyes, the hesitance lingering in its steps. "Almost there," John urged, hope swelling in him. "You're not alone anymore." The little one shifted its weight, glancing back at the others, and finally took a few steps closer. It sniffed at Buddy, then the scruffy dog, the curiosity growing in its body language. Suddenly, a low growl erupted from the bushes beyond the clearing, startling them all. The new dog froze. "What now?" Sarah asked, fear gripping her voice. John's heart raced again. It wasn't just one voice this time. Strange and ominous sounds mingled together, forming a chorus of distress coming from the depths of the darkened woods. "We have to be ready," John said, adrenaline surging through him. There might be more. He grit his teeth, scanning the area, aware now of the daunting challenge looming ahead. How many more were lost, just like this one? Would they have the strength to face whatever lay waiting in the shadows? The chaos of barks transformed into something deeper, an urgent plea for help echoing in John's chest. "Let us get to them," he declared, spirit ignited by the thought of saving as many as they could. As he stepped forward, the darkness beckoned. But in that moment, surrounded by his loyal friends, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, the thrill of purpose. But what awaited them in the shadows? Would they find more lost souls, or something far more dangerous? John felt a surge of determination as he stepped into the darkening woods, the air thick around him. Sarah stayed close, her eyes scanning for every rustle, every movement. Instinctively, Buddy and the scruffy dog flanked them, their tails still wagging, unaware of the tension building in the air. The growl returned, louder this time, punctuating the stillness. John swallowed hard, pushing back his unease. "Stay sharp," he whispered, but even he could hear the tremor in his voice. The urgency of their mission was palpable, creating a rhythm that resonated deep within him. How many more dogs needed their help? How many were waiting for a moment like this to grasp onto hope? As they moved closer to the source of the sound, the trees loomed overhead like dark sentinels standing guard. John caught glimpses of shifting shadows through the underbrush. It was clear something was lurking, watching, just out of sight. "Do you hear those whimpers?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It was a sound designed to tug at the heart, laden with desperation. The idea of more scared, lost animals chilled John to the bone. He had to find them, he had to show them they were safe. "Let us follow it," he urged, leading the way. Just ahead, they emerged into another small clearing, this one illuminated by a feeble moonlight piercing the canopy. And there, tangled in a mess of branches and vines, were two more dogs. One was a sturdy, brown bulldog with an unmistakable fire in its eyes, while the other appeared smaller, trembling violently as it huddled close to its friend. "Hey, it's okay," John called, kneeling to their level. He could see the trust battle within the eyes of the bulldog, a fight between wanting to protect the smaller dog and the instinct to run. "Let them see us, John," Sarah encouraged, her voice soothing. "They need to know they can trust us." With painstaking slowness, John inched forward, extending his hand while trying not to frighten them. Just like before, he reminded himself, encouraging Buddy and the scruffy dog to sit down beside him. He wanted to show these dogs the same unconditional love that he had shared with their friends. The smaller dog trembled harder, its whimpers morphing into desperate cries. "Please, just a little closer," John thought, heart aching for both of them. In many ways, he saw his own struggles reflected in their fearful faces, lost, confused, and alone. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from deeper in the woods, sending all four dogs into a frenzy. The bulldog instinctively sprang forward, staking its ground protectively in front of the smaller one. John felt his heart race as he instinctively reached for Sarah's hand, an unspoken bond of bravery forged between them. "We can't leave them," he asserted as the distance widened. Before he could reassess their surroundings, a figure emerged from the shadows, partially concealed by the undergrowth. It seemed monstrous at first, but as it stepped into the moonlight, John's tension dissipated, revealing a friendly-looking retriever bounding towards them, eager and wagging its tail. "Is that Sarah?" began, joy and puzzlement flitting across her face. "Yes," John exclaimed, relief washing over him as he recognized the dog. "That's Max. He was lost at the festival too." Just as the realization struck them, harmony swept through the air, a joyous reunion united by purpose and hope. But as they welcomed their friend, the growls grew deeper, becoming a steady pulse threatening to shatter their moment of joy and safety. John turned towards the terrifying darkness again, the realization dawning that they had to face whatever lay beyond. "Find out what's making those sounds," he told Max, trusting the retriever to guide them. As they prepared for the unknown, John felt both dread and excitement rising in him. This was clearly bigger than just rescuing a few lost dogs. What would they uncover that night? Would there be more than just fear lurking in the shadows, or did hope still burn brightly amid the chaos? As the barks intensified, curling around John with a frantic energy, he turned to his makeshift pack. Buddy, the scruffy dog, and now Max stood strong beside him. They had become more than just companions, they were a family forged through trials that transcended their pasts. Ahead, shadows writhed, and John's pulse quickened with both fear and fierce determination. "We need to see what we're up against," John said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Sarah squeezed his shoulder, her eyes shimmering with bravery. They were all in this together. With a nod, John urged the dogs forward, moving into the thrumming darkness. "Stay close, everyone," he commanded. The group pressed on, their strides synchronized in purpose. Buddy and the scruffy dog moved protectively ahead, snuffling through the underbrush for scents of unfamiliar presences. Then, suddenly, they pierced the veil of darkness into another clearing, and what they encountered brought John to his knees. Huddled amidst twisted branches were 3 more dogs, each trapped but with eyes flickering with a blend of hope and fear. They were scared yet yearning for connection, just like him. "Hey there, sweethearts," John soothed, kneeling and extending his hand as he had done before. "You're safe now, let us help you." The bulldog growled low at first, standing firm, backing the smaller dogs into a protective embrace. But as John's gentle voice reached their ears, the tension began to thin like mist in sunlight. Fearful yet curious, the smaller dog stepped forward, drawn by John's unwavering sincerity. "That's it, little one," he encouraged, trying to suppress the swell of emotions threatening to overtake him. Just then, Buddy nudged the smaller dog softly, inviting the scared creature closer as the scruffy dog mirrored the sentiment, a warm, silent agreement to join the little family of lost ones. One by one, the canines began to step closer, emboldened by Buddy's presence and John's reassuring words, hearts daring to meld into hope amid the encroaching shadows. "Come on, we're here for you," John pressed gently, feeling his heart expand as the first dog stepped forward, slowly overcoming its doubts. Moments later, the last knot in the fear-laden air loosened as they breathed in the kaleidoscope of camaraderie, the kind that healed souls. Just then, the bushes crackled again, yanking John's attention back, heart leaping in his chest. But before panic could set in, another golden figure emerged, this one not as timid, but with a glock of unyielding energy. It was a dog, a beacon of unfiltered joy with a contagious bark that made John's lips curl into a grin. Max jumped toward the new arrival, mirroring the excitement swirling in John's chest. It was as if this moment had ignited something deep within, the purpose to unite, to rescue not just dogs but the very fabric that held them together as a community. "We will take you home," John declared with newfound strength, each word ringing clear and profound in his ears. The shadows of doubt cast for too long fell away, revealing paths open before him. Cheers erupted from the gathering of friends who had followed closely, encouraged by John's bravery and the dawning realization about shared journeys. As they surrendered themselves to the revealing light of the lantern, battling through the thickening darkness around them, the cold autumn air flowed soft and warm, wrapping them in comfort. Upon emerging back from the wood, a symphony of barks amplified, echoing around them, filled with the kind of raw excitement John hadn't felt in years. He started toward the gathering, where a vibrant warmth awaited a family ready to embrace their entire clan, human and canine alike. In that radiant, electric moment, John turned to Sarah, then scanned the faces in the crowd, many of whom had once viewed him through lenses tinged with doubt. They smiled back, eyes reflecting understanding and connection, shared struggles melting away the previous barriers. "Thank you for believing in me," John said to Sarah, feeling gratitude swell in the wake of his burgeoning courage. "And thank you all for helping us rescue not just these dogs but each other." As they celebrated the new family formed from a bond stronger than chains or judgment, John felt himself heal deeply. Together, they were no longer defined by their pasts but by a united purpose, to lift each other up, care for those lost, and hold on to love tightly. With Buddy at his side and a newfound sense of belonging within the community, John stepped forth into the light, determined to continue the journey they had begun this night, a journey toward hope backed by love, compassion, and newfound courage. This was the beginning of many more rescues, and unlike the battles fought alone, it would be shared against all odds. Community thrived in the hearts of everyone present this night, and John felt every single heartbeat as part of his own, and in that moment, surrounded by his pack, he realized they had saved each other, not just the dogs but the lost souls among them. They had found home. The night continued, full of laughter, joy, and new stories to be told. The journey had truly just begun, a promise of a brighter tomorrow that had sparkled a light in the shadows. Now, Dear friends, this is your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because your support is critical. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, let us know how it resonated with you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share the warmth of this journey.